Now, when does fasting become starvation? Let's talk about that. An average non-overweight person is carrying around about 100,000 calories of fat on their body. Okay, 100,000. They're only carrying around about 1,700 calories of stored sugar, but a lot of fat. And that's someone that's not even overweight. Now, let's say that person weighed 150 pounds, okay? On average, and this is a very rough estimate, a person that's 150 pounds is going to be burning about 1,000 to 2,000 calories per day. Now, it could be a little less, could be a little bit more, but roughly about between 1,000 and 2,000. And it really depends on the person's age, their activity level, how much muscle they have. There's a lot of variables. But let's just take an average 1,500 calories, okay? And we divide that by 100,000. We get 67 days of calories to live off of. Because the difference between fasting and starving, during fasting, you're living off your fat fuel. When you're starving, you've already tapped out your fat. Now you're living off your muscle and your organ. You're turning those two into fuel. So this is a person that is not necessarily overweight, like an average person. There are people that have 100 pounds of extra fat, 200 pounds of extra fat. I know one guy that weighed 600 pounds, okay? So obviously, they can fast for a lot longer, hypothetically. The world record for the person who fasted the longest, it was over a year. So really, depending on how much fat you have, will determine how long you can fast. And it's interesting because some people kind of freak out if they just eat one meal a day. They think they're going to starve. Or if they have to fast 48 hours. Realize that an average person has a tremendous amount of potential energy, fat, calories, to survive well before they start to starve. Okay, so when you're fasting, you're not hungry. Okay, when you're starving, you are starving. You're very, very hungry. When you're fasting, you're calm, you're serene. When you're starving, you're going to be irritable. When you're fasting, you're going to be focused. When you're starving, you're going to be almost in apathy. When you're fasting, you actually spare muscle. So the body protects the muscle. Okay, so it's not going to use that for fuel. When you're starving, you start to develop atrophy of the muscle. So you have muscle wasting. And you're also a bit hyperactive. When you're fasting, you have a lot of energy. When you're starving, you are fatigued. When you're fasting, your body conserves nutrients. When you're starving, you create all sorts of nutritional deficiencies. I mean, like they're called classical or major vitamin deficiencies. Vitamin B1 deficiency, which is beriberi. And with that comes all sorts of additional symptoms. Pellagra, that's a vitamin B3 deficiency. Scurvy, vitamin C deficiency. Rickets, vitamin D deficiency. So you have many, many different symptoms coming up from this. When do you know that you're starving versus fasting? Well, when you start to develop some of these symptoms, subjectively, you will know. And this whole thing depends on how much fat that you have to run your body on and the nutrient reserves. And I do recommend when you fast, you take your basic nutrients so you never have this being a risk factor right here. All right, there you go. Thanks for watching.